It's 10 to 8 here on LBC. Now, the United Kingdom Independence Party, UKIP, has launched a Brexit and Beyond manifesto with a commitment to leaving the EU on the 31st of January without a deal. Interim leader Pat Mountain said the PM's withdrawal agreement would keep the UK shackled to Brussels. The party also wants to cut net immigration to below 10,000 a year. We were hoping to speak to Pat Mountain tonight, but she pulled out, so we're delighted to welcome David Kurten, UKIP London Assembly Member and parliamentary candidate who co-authored the manifesto. David, very good evening.
Good evening.
Reducing immigration to below 10,000 a year, so you want to hurt the economy?
No, that won't hurt the economy at all. I mean, what we've said for our headline immigration policy is we're actually abandoning the Australian-style point system because we don't think that's the right model for the UK anymore. We've been listening to think tanks like Migration Watch. Obviously, the UK is very, very different to Australia, but what we think we need forward into the future is to replace that with time-limited work visas for scarce skills. Now, that won't hurt the economy because we do need to bring in people with scarce skills. Obviously, there's a shortage of doctors and nurses and other professions at the moment. But what we do want to balance that with is focusing the education system in this country on making the United Kingdom self-sufficient in skills. Because what we've done over the last 10, 20 years is we haven't trained enough British people to do the jobs that we need to be doing, that need to be done. So obviously that's going to take a bit of time to rectify, but we want to wean ourselves off of our reliance on mass immigration to fill very
but we have
train our own young people.
We have more or less full employment at the moment in this country. We clearly need people to do all sorts of jobs, not just skilled jobs. What about all of the jobs in this country that are not particularly skilled that we need foreign workers to do? You need far more than 10,000 of those.
Well, there are 768,000 NEETs not in education, employment or training young people between the ages of 16 and 24. And for some of them, there's a good reason why they're not in work. They may have a disability or may be married or and bringing up children, have dependent children. But there's a lot of them who could be trained to do the sort of entry-level, unskilled jobs to start off with, that we sort of maybe rely on immigrants from Eastern Europe to come in. And we're not blaming anyone coming from Eastern Europe and do those kind of jobs. Obviously, they're just using the system that we have. But we do think that we need to focus on getting British people, particularly young people, particularly NEETs, into work. And that would provide a whole pool of people to do the kind of entry-level jobs that you were talking about.
Why should we take UKIP seriously? You've had 9 leaders in 3 years. That's quite a record, isn't it?
Look, I'll be honest with you. We haven't had an easy time since the referendum and since Nigel Farage stood down.
But why not just
a
give
couple
up?
of weeks after the referendum? Well, I mean, I'm very, very glad that we are still here because, I'm not sure how the Brexit Party is going to do in the election. Obviously, they're
going to do a lot better than you, aren't they?
Well, obviously they're standing in more places than we are. We're only standing in 44 seats.
Well, exactly. So why bother? Why bother when you've got the Brexit Party, you've got Nigel Farage, who everyone knows. Who's heard of Pat Mountain?
Well, I mean, Nigel Farage and the Brexit Party pulled out of 317 Tory seats, so there's nobody standing against any Tory remainers.
You've pulled out of 606 seats.
Well, we are standing in 44, and we made some decisions at that moment, the Monday before the nominations deadline, that was a couple of weeks ago, that we were left with a lot of Tory seats. They were Tory remainers, like the one in the seat I'm standing in, who didn't have a real Brexiteer standing in them. Now, I'm standing in a seat down in Sussex against a Tory Remainer, so the people there will have a choice to vote for a real Brexiteer who wants a no-deal, clean break exit where we come out of the EU and all of its institutions on the 31st of January.
David, thank you very much. That's David Kurten, the UKIP London Assembly Member and parliamentary candidate.